I thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Ojibwe, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Carrie Linklater. I am the chairperson this morning, and I am joined on the panel via Zoom by Mr. Jerry Arnell and Ms. Michelle Duncan. From our assessment department is Ms. Sharon Tang, and our administrative personnel is Ms. Twinkle Sharma. This morning, we will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. This morning, we will be hearing items 6 through 8 on our docket. And Ms. Sharma, would you please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony?
For sure. Ms. Assessor, please state your full name.
Sharon Tang.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to provide at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Jared Moroz.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to provide at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Moroz and Ms. Tang. Our first property this morning, item number 6, is at 101 Pollen Street, and we are looking at assessed value. And Ms. Tang, whenever you are ready to begin.
File number is 24-3951. Row number is 1307148500. Address is 101 Pauline Street. The assessed value for 2025 is $17,310,000. There are 3 buildings, and it was a 6 to 7 stories. One building was built in 1900. The other one was built in 2020. The 1900 building with effective year built of 1990. There are a total of 107 suites. Doesn't look like there's any parkings for the property. Page 2 and 3 of my brief shows the subject property photos and locations. Page 4 shows that there was no sales history 3 years prior to the effective date of the report. Page 5 shows the evaluations. So there are 27 one-bedrooms, 82 bedrooms, and we use a monthly rent of $1,508.07. Then we use a 5.3% vacancy, 48.08% expense ratio, and 5.5% cap rate. And that gives us 17,310,000. Page 6 and 7, my brief shows the comparable rent. So the subject property has a rooftop renovation, which can be seen in the photos at the end of my brief. So the most compatible one would be a 50 Hargrave, which also has the rooftop renovation done as well. And page 8 and 9 of my brief shows the cap rate studies. And page 15 is the permit information for the renovation. And page 16 to the end of the brief shows the photos for the subject property. And the last photo on page 21 is the rooftop after the renovation was complete. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Tang. And Mr. Burrows, did you have any questions to the assessor?
Yeah, just on the capitalization rate section. Is the assessor aware that, or are you aware of how this information was developed?
On page 9?
Yeah.
So we'll be looking at the sales, and we'll be using the 3 years prior to the date of sale and stabilize the income and expense. And we divide by the sale price, and then we get the cap rate.
Are you aware that some of these sales are on MLS?
I would assume so, but I'm not sure.
So then you don't know if the information on MLS would indicate different capitalization rates than what's shown in your chart here?
No, because we're not sure what the income and the expense was used for the MLS listing. We just use the actual income and expense provided by the owner to us when we collect the income and expense information every year to calculate the cap rate.
But then where do you use the sale price from? MLS?
I'm not too sure.
So what you're saying is that you don't necessarily use the information regarding the income and expenses that are included on the MLS listing that generated the sale and the sale price of the property. You're using different information from mailers.
Like I said, I'm not sure what information is included. If they have a lower repair and maintenance on the MLS listing compared to what they provided to the city, then we wouldn't know, because that's not the information they provided to us. We're only using what's provided by the owner.
Okay. And then on this construction dates, are you certain that this building is entirely new? I believe you said about 12,000 square feet is brand new 2020 construction.
My understanding is only about 990 square foot was completed in 2022. And the rest has an effective year built of 1990, I think. That's my understanding.
But originally constructed in like 1946.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
We just have the actual year built on our record shows 1900 and 2022. And we have an effective year built for the 1900 portion as 1990.
Right, that's all I have for questions.
I thank you. Ms. Duncan, any questions to the assessor?
Is there any reason why you haven't included an I&E in your evidence?
Oh, the information is post-reference. So they don't have any information before the reference date. So.
Thank you. I didn't notice that. Thank you.
And Mr. Arnell?
No, I had the same questions as Mrs. Duncan. Sorry. Thank
All
you.
right, no worries. Thank you. Ms. Tang, this is entirely model driven.
That is correct.
All right. So there is no parking.
I don't believe so. We don't have any parking on our record.
Okay. And there are, sorry, I'm just looking, 107 suites. So it's a fairly large building in terms of tenants, correct?
I guess so.
Over 100?
Yeah, it's over
So-
100.
So would you think that having no parking is detrimental to a building of this nature? Actually, just to any apartment building?
I'm not sure. I guess so.
Okay, thank you. Do you know when this property was inspected?
I'm not sure the exact date, but looks like the building was completed in 2022 for the renovation. So I guess would be sometime in 2023 or 2024.
Okay. Do you have any notes on the inspection?
I don't have it with me.
Okay. And I'm assuming this was given the age of 1900, that this was a warehouse building?
Yeah, it was a
Of some
warehouse and it was
sort.
and it was renovated into the apartment building.
All right, thank you. Just last question, your cap rate is also model driven?
That's correct.
All right, thank you. That's all my questions. Mr. Morose, if you would like to give us your brief.
Okay, so when this building was renovated, it was part of the Live Downtown Rental Development Grant Program. And what that required was affordable housing to be contained within the building. And below market rents. So I used so basically for stabilizing, I used the revenue that was reported from the building. However, I also used similar property that was the rents in their post reference. So I used another building that the same developer developed with the same program to develop the income and expenses. In 2023, throughout the year, 33% of the building was below market rents for affordable housing. So based on income expenses with a 48.7% expense ratio, 6% cap rate. The cap rate is reflective of the below market rents. I came up with a value of $15,679,000. And that's all I have to present.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Ms. Tang?
I don't believe I received the briefs from the applicant.
Let me check.
But I guess I'll just ask the questions based on the presentation, I guess. If that's okay.
So I'm just going to suggest, would you like to take a 5-minute recess and you can look at the brief?
I don't have the brief. I have
I
two
can,
briefs from,
The secretary can send it to you.
okay.
I can send it to you right now. However, it has been shared with you before as well. But I can send it to you right now as well.
Would you like to take a brief recess, Ms. Tang?
No, I think that's fine.
All right. Can you let us know when you have it also, Ms. Tang? Thank you.
Okay.
Ms. Tang, do you have the brief now?
Not yet.
I've sent the briefs to you.
I haven't received it yet. I can just ask questions based on his verbal presentation, based on his presentation.
All right, that's up to you. If you want to proceed, go ahead, please.
Okay. So on your briefs, do you have any rent comparables to support your rent?
Nope, I use the actual rent from the building.
Okay, and you're just making the adjustment based on the 33% of the suites that are below the market?
Nope, I'm just using the rent that was reported.
Okay. But the rent, there are 33% of the suites in the building are below the market. So you're just using whatever is actually collected to calculate the NOI.
Yeah, for a period ending in October 2023.
And do you have any actual sales to support your cap rate that you're using for the 6%?
Nope.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Arnell, any questions to the applicant?
Just one on his page 8. It says no off-street parking required. So this place does have parking?
It has parking. The building owner owns a number of buildings in the area. So, and separate parking lots. So parking is available, but not as part of this actual building. This building itself does not have any parking.
So the tenants pay more for parking?
They can rent spots.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
I thank you. And Ms. Duncan, any questions?
Is there any other data on 265 Portage Avenue within your evidence that would indicate it's a good comparable?
No, just what's in there.
So we don't know the suite mix. We don't know the age of the property or condition or anything like that.
It's the same idea. It was an older warehouse building and it was renovated under the same program.
But just nothing within the evidence itself.
No.
Thank you. No other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Morose, you had said at the beginning of your testimony that this is under a grant for affordable housing, correct?
It was part of the Live Downtown program with Center Venture.
Okay. So is this property then subsidized? with this grant?
Yeah, it's subsidized on the property tax portion.
Okay, so on the just on property tax.
Yeah, there's there's different stages to it. Some of it is a 4-year exemption or a grant in the amount of incremental taxes paid. There's one where you get it entitled 12 years. So there's the grants vary, but yes, it had a break from property taxes basically for a number of years, as long as the building maintains I believe it's at least 15% affordable housing component.
Okay.
And it has to be a warehouse building converted to residential use. The documents on the city drive.
Okay.
Bylaw.
Just in regards to the parking, just a follow-up question. Do you know how much the parking rent is?
The parking rent varied. It's not part of this building, so the owner's renting out lots that they own in the area. So if you're a tenant of this building, you can rent surface parking from the landlord.
Right. You don't know how much the parking is, though, per se.
I think it's 150 or 100 per stall. Give me 1 second. Depends where it is. I suppose it ranges from 100 to 150 per stall for surface parking.
All right. I thank you. That's all my questions. Does either party have a wish for a summation?
Nope.
No, I'm
Ms.
fine,
Tan?
thanks.
All right. Thank you both. We will move on to then item number 7, which is 316 Ross Avenue. And again,
Chair, before we move, can I confirm that whether the assessor has received the applicant briefs?
I just did.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Again, we are looking at assessed value on 316 Ross Avenue. And Ms. Tang, whenever you're ready to proceed.
File number is 24-3841. Roll number is 13099071390. Address is 316 Ross Avenue. The assessed value for 2025 was $12,737,000. There are 3 buildings. There were 5 stories, and it was built. The one building was built in 1905, and the second portion was added on in 2018. So the one that was built in 1905 has an effective year built of 1965. The total building area, the gross floor area is 77,739 square foot. 55,950 were built in 2018. Page 2 and 3 of my brief shows the subject property photos and locations. On page 2, we can see the left side of the building that has the label says Ross Avenue. That portion is brand new. Page 4 shows that there was no sale history 3 years prior to the effective date of the report. Page 5 shows the valuation. So there's 1 bachelor suite, 71 bedroom, 23 2 bedrooms, and we use a monthly rent of $1,206.77. And we use 5.3% vacancy, 47.14% expense ratio, and 5.35% cap rate, and that gives us $12,737,000. Page 6 shows the comparable rent and locations, and 7 and 8 is the cap rate studies. And page 14 to page 17 is the income and expense information submitted by the owner. And page 18 to page 20 is the subject property photos. And that's my presentation.
I thank you. And Mr. Morose, any questions to the assessor?
No.
Thank you. And Ms. Duncan?
No questions, thank you.
And Mr. Arnell?
No questions, thanks.
Thank you. Just to confirm, Ms. Tang, your brief is model driven, correct?
That's correct.
And your cap rate is model?
That's correct.
I thank you. Mr. Morose, if you would like to proceed with your brief.
Okay. Basically, the revenue and expenses were taken from the property. Suggested expense ratio of 49.85%, capitalized at 6%. The building again is offers affordable housing. It's under the same program as 101 Pollen, where it's a break in property taxes and has to maintain rent below market. The income was reported income, and it was adjusted for one of the surface parking lots that was included in the rent. This is actual rent reported, collected from the building, so no adjustment for the below market rents or anything for that matter. It's just what the building is included for rent. Throughout the brief, there's some photos of the building, zoning information, followed by extensive capitalization rate discussions, then some capitalization rate comparables, and concludes with some typing of multifamily buildings. And that's basically all I have to present.
All right, I thank you. Ms. Tang, any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. And Mr. Arnell
No questions, thanks.
and Ms. Duncan?
No questions, thanks.
I also have no questions. Does either party have a wish for a summation?
No, thank you.
Mr. Morose?
Nope.
No, all right, thank you. That concludes item number 7. We will move on to item number 8, which is 1080 Wellington Avenue. And I understand you have a recommendation for this property, Ms. Tang?
I do.
Thank you. If you'd like to proceed though and read out all the information on the property, thank you.
Okay. File number is 24-4273. Row number is 1301148350. Address is 1080 Wellington Avenue. The assessed value for 2025 is $5,512,000. And there's one building with 3 stories. It was built in 1972. There are 66 suites and 59 outdoor parking. The recommendation for the property would be based on increase in expense ratio. So we're using 56.92% expense ratio instead of 51.04% shown on page 5. So the total expense would be $352,404. And the net operating income would be $266,753. Then we use the same 5.5% cap rate, and that gives us a new value of $4,850,000. And that's my recommendation.
And I'm sorry, that's 4,850,000.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, sorry, I'm just going to go over the numbers again. Your NOI was 266,753,
That's correct.
right? And your new expense was 352,404.
That's correct.
All right, I thank you. And Mr. Morose, are you willing to accept this recommendation?
Yes. Yep.
All right. I thank you. And Mr. Arnell, any questions in regards to this?
No questions, thanks.
And Ms. Duncan?
No question, thanks.
Thank you. I also have no questions. And thank you, Ms. Tang, for your presentations this morning, and also to you, Mr. Morose.
Thank you.
Thank you both for your briefs. And we have heard the 3 items on the docket this morning, and this hearing is adjourned.